Constitution Foundational Association presents the Ken Fawcett series, ATF Injured Its Own Men at Waco, Texas. Hosted by Ken Fawcett and Gregory Salley. Produced by Mr. Gregory Salley. A critical analysis of media reports of the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. Assault activities of over 100 agents on the Branch Davidian church home in Waco. The following actual TV scenes are used to show that certain crimes may have been committed by ATF agents, including murder and injury to their own men as well as to Davidian members. Hello, this is Ken Fawcett. This is an aerial view of the Branch Davidian Center. In the upper right-hand corner of your screen, you'll notice the Branch Davidian church bus, where reporters took up cover at near the end of their assignment.
This is Greg Salley, and we must ask the question, what jurisdiction did the ATF have to attack this church complex?
You know, I knew they were coming before they knew they were coming. Of course, you know, I look him in the eyes, and I told him, I said, Robert, you know, I love you, and I've shown you truth. It's right there out of your Bible. I said, now you have to deal with that now, what I showed you.
About 2 hours after the scene, officials remove a car that belonged to one of the ATF agents left in the parking lot. And now let's review the actual assault on February 28, 1993. From this camera's position just to the right of the front door, we can clearly see the 3 National Guard helicopter gunships coming in low and to the right and left. Also to the left of your screen, notice the 2 reporters clearly positioned in a tree above a white Ford van. By this time, church member Perry Jones has been mortally wounded by the front door, and Dave Karish is nursing a bullet wound in his side. The first casualty was in the horse trailer on the way to the scene. Here, an ATF nurse checks for a pulse.
The question must be asked, was this man killed by his own people, or was he killed by a sniper as reported by ATF?
The 8-man assassination team begins their ascent of the ladders on the south side of the complex. Notice that these men are dressed differently from the other assault team members. Also notice that as they climb this ladder on the right, they're going to attempt to break into what they believe is Koresh's bedroom. Agent Conway LeBleu is climbing the ladder on the right. He is the officer who had the self-inflicted gunshot wound in the upper thigh. Notice as he reaches for his semi-automatic pistol, it will discharge in the holster. Agent LeBleu is not mortally wounded and is able to carry out his mission. Although when he reaches the roof, he has a slight limp in his right leg. Luckily, the man under the ladder is not hurt. The team on the left continues their ascent and goes around the 3-story riser to the left and exposes themselves to fire from the front of the building. This, of course, would be friendly fire. Here we have an arrow detailing the buckling of Agent LeBleu's leg. Notice the windows and walls are still completely intact.
I'm rolling. Go back to the car and give me another tape then.
This arrow shows the front door of the house where Mr. Jones was killed and Koresh himself was injured. At this point, you can see where agents have climbed on the roof and cross over to the front part exposed to the friendly fire in the front. Here we see the tarp-covered trailer where later in the film a Davidian will be asking for peace and help for the injured ATF agents. Notice the plywood shack where earlier we had seen the first ATF casualty being attended to. And the 2 ATF cattle trailers where agents unloaded prior to the raid. The vehicles from which ATF agents in the front of the building took cover. Are there any holes in these vehicles? The church water tower, on top of which Peter Gent was sniped to death, his body remained there for 8 days. Here we have the northeast end of the building. There didn't appear to be any activity on the assault from this side. The complex swimming pool where Brad Branch and Oliver Garfus and friends spent many a hot summer afternoon. In this photo, taken about 2.5 hours after the initial raid, Agent Gonzalez has already removed his red pickup truck. This is the point at which agents believe was Koresh's bedroom. Little did they know he had already moved to the 4-story tower. Koresh's satellite dish, later used as a signal to the CFA and Ron Engelman for help. The window agents illegally bashed in on the day of the raid as they attempted to arrest Mr. Koresh. Here we see points of origin of gunfire coming into the complex. The top arrow shows the approximate location of helicopter firing at the tower. Here we see the point at which agents who had ascended the left-hand ladder exposed themselves to friendly fire from the front of the building. Branch Davidians stored the children's go-karts and bicycles here, which were later destroyed by ATF. This is the doghouse and kennel with chain-link fence that Mr. Schroeder's body will later be removed from. These are hay-type blocks left over from the construction of the flimsy bunker.
A serious question arises. By what jurisdiction and authority, by what rules did the ATF have to go by in serving a warrant? The only thing they had was a warrant. What crimes are being committed here before our very eyes by a force that we have no control over? Is this America? Is this the kind of America that you want? The question must be asked also of the media and the press. Was everything reported properly? Were crimes committed and not reported? This is a serious question that must be answered. Just who is the ATF and who do they serve? Who pays their paycheck? By what authority and what was the emergency under which the governor would allow 3 helicopters to be used to serve a warrant on a church home? It is reported that 2 reporters were in a tree prior to the assault. How did they have this information and who gave it to them? Was it the ATF? And was this collusion in an attempt to serve a warrant that results in crimes being committed? Who are the people involved? What must we do so that something like this can never happen again in America? Now let us look at this scene. Here is the front yard of the Davidian complex. We see the cattle trailer, we see the agents, we see the yard. This is a dirt yard. And we see the automobiles, and in a moment we're going to see all these agents firing. Now, they claim there was a tremendous, overpowering fire from within the building. But let's take a look at what's happening here. There isn't a single bullet that's hitting the ground anywhere. There isn't a single window or tire or surface of any vehicle that has been hit. There is no evidence